Hey guys, so there's something that bothers me a little bit. Basically, it's this question. So when you ask YouTube or even Google for that matter, it'll autocomplete to say which programming language should I learn first. And a lot of these videos, especially the top 10 or top 5 lists or whatever, it's basically clickbait and it's a lot of noise. So I kind of want to give you my opinion on it. So I made a little presentation. So voila. So, which programming language should you learn? The answer is it doesn't matter. Just just pick one. So the thing is, the difference between 0 and 1 is greater than 1 and infinity, especially in programming. And you'll come to see like doing one thing is gonna be super hard, but like duplicating it is really easy because you just jam it in a for loop or a while loop or any kind of loop. So yeah, basically concepts carry over. So if you know one language, you can learn the rest really easily. And as an example, here's a for loop in three different syntaxes. So the top one is the C syntax. It's basically almost every language that you'll see, every popular language for the most part. You'll see the semicolons and the curly brackets. This particular example is in JavaScript. That's why there's a let here instead of let's see. Java uses int for integers. Um, yeah, it doesn't matter. And then there's the pseudocode syntax. It's basically the same thing except no curly brackets and no semicolons. Instead, they use a colon for most of their stuff, and the white space is it's means something. So the if you don't tab your stuff, it breaks the code blocks and it breaks your code. And then there's the Lisp syntax, which basically just has parens around everything. And this example is in Clojure, so there's also the square brackets that you can surround things for different meanings, but you don't really need to know that at this point. So here are the safe choices. If all you are looking for is employment, just pick one of these. Um, JavaScript is the most popular language in the world, and for web development, it's basically required. And then Python is also getting up there, but yeah, if I wouldn't recommend starting with C Sharp or Java because they're a lot more difficult to get started with. But for employment, these are the four safe ones. You just pick one, learn it, and you'll be good to go, more or less. And the language that you actually want actually depends on what you want to do. So even though those were the safe choices, um, if you want to specialize in a certain type of software, it might be a better idea to pick these languages. So as I said, JavaScript is required for web, mostly because it's the language of the browser. So unless you write in a language that compiles into JavaScript, so basically translate it into something that the browser understands, you have to go with JavaScript. And then I said plus another one. This is mostly for the backend. Um, in web, it doesn't actually matter, but the other three of the safe choices are the your other options. Um, and then data science. Right now, it's Python, uh, just because it's Python. I put C Sharp here for game development because that's the language that Unity is written in, or you write C Sharp for Unity, whatever the distinction is. And then in mobile, there's a distinction between Android and iOS. Um, iOS right now is being written in Swift, and Android is being written in Java. So you can see that you could kind of mix and match here. If you learn Java, first you could be a backend web developer or a mobile developer or an Android developer, I'm saying. And then if you learn Python, you could be a backend web developer and also dip into data science. And of course, system level languages, so embedded systems. So if you want to program a refrigerator or something like that, you would have to learn basically C. So something very low level that has the ability to interact with the hardware. Um, yeah. But here's the thing, guys. The language isn't everything. It's the libraries and frameworks and even programming style that makes them special. So when I say libraries, I'm including the standard library. So that means for C, it's interacting with the hardware. Um, see, and then for JavaScript, there's multiple frameworks out there, but it basically makes creating web interfaces a lot easier without having to dive deep into HTML and CSS because, as we all know, those two languages don't have um, repetition, so you can't stick it in a for loop, and that's really is the main thing that makes everything easier. And and then finally, developer happiness. This is more for your second or third language. After you learn your safe ones that you can put on your resume and become sufficient in, you could learn whatever you want. And if you've noticed on my channel, I've been putting some videos for Clojure because that's the language that I'm learning. Personally, it's because I usually try to program functionally, and I like this programming style. I'm not a big fan of the Lisp parentheses, but I'm getting used to it, so it's not so bad. And but the power that Clojure gives you for just functional programming in general, especially like composition, it's amazing. But yeah, also on this note, I personally hate Python, and like even though technically it's my second best language after JavaScript, I I keep learning because I don't ever want to be employed doing Java or doing Python, and yeah, I just don't like the tab syntax. It makes me uncomfortable. But yeah, I hope that this gives you a little insight. So back to the safe choices. So you don't actually have to learn all of them. Just learn the ones you need. Definitely learn one to be sufficient in programming. But once you get your feet wet, you can just dip your feet into whatever you want, and you'll be good to go. And I hope this is something that's worthwhile. I want to make a video because there's a lot of noise out there, and I don't. I'm hoping that this will help a little bit. All right, I'll see you guys next time.